Ray classed as a cursed land. You'd have to be mad to settle here.
Hi, Zizaran here with another video, and this is about the 3.25 patch, and wow. Okay, so this might be a long TLDR. Try to keep it as short as I can and just do like cliff notes, but just wow. This is going to be just about the like the video announcement they did. This is not going to be about the patch notes. There will probably be roughly a 40-minute TLDR or a 30-minute TLDR of the patch notes. Because this is, well, an insane patch. So I want to start off just by showing the Bingu sheet I made. I had so many things I wanted to predict that I made a longer one. But we got melee buffs. Every melee skill is massively buffed. Recombinators are back. Everybody said this was my copium sheet, but recombinators are back. Detonate Dead was nerfed massively. The whole, like, you're able to have specters in your corpse pool completely gone. Which is a huge part of its damage, and it's multi-nerfed. It's super dead. So you can play it in the gauntlet now, and there will be a gauntlet this thing. It is a circle mechanic. We do run in circles. Chris Wilson was at the start of the video. Cleave got buffed because every melee skill got buffed. There are new scarabs. Raider is deleted, so we have a new class now. Gladiator, huge rework. There's a boat. New base skills. There's like new retaliate skills. Path of Exile 2 was mentioned because you can sign up to the beta now. Stygian Revenants are nerfed. Melee Totem reworked. They're gone. Tier 17s have been reworked and so it's supposed to be easier now. There are 2 new bosses. There are 3 actually. Essence Drain got buffed. It does not look enough to like really make it worth playing though. Like it'll be a good thing for people that already like it, but I don't know if it's something I'm gonna be like, ooh, ED is back kind of jam, but we'll see. Adoran got nerfed. It is now between 0 and 100% instead of 50 and 150. Settlers of Kalguur is basically the league, and Bleed got buffed. After going through my bingo sheet, let's talk a little bit about the announcement. We are getting... They basically said, hey, we heard you like games, so we put a game in your game so you can game while you game. We got a city builder, a huge city builder where you gather resources and you upgrade the town. And there are resources for each settlement. They have different mechanics from previous leagues, like Scourge nodes, Calandra nodes, Blighted nodes. And there's just loads of stuff here. You can send boats to gather for you, send NPCs to farm for you. So this is a huge sink for leftover maps, which I'm really excited for. We use gold to interact with the mechanics, so they are adding gold to the game as a test. And the gold is also going to be used for the auction house that we are getting. It's really cool because I've always said the only way an auction house would work in PoE is if we had gold, and they're not about to introduce gold. Well, here we are. So actually exciting because this is the way I would like to see it, and something I've generally been against because I didn't know how you would do tax in Path of Exile. Well, now you can. And it is auto pickup, and you use this to hire workers in your settlement. It's used for respecs. Now I'm assuming regrets still work because imagine if you need to respec and you can't buy it off other players. So I'm guessing we have 2 ways to respec now. And the auction house is not something you actually need to do the mechanic to interact with, and you can anything that is stackable sells on the auction house. There are new resources for crafting and trading, so we can disenchant things, and it seems like the rarer something is, the more stuff we'll get from disenchanting. And that takes time, so it's not like you have to pick up every shitty item to disenchant, and there is a lot of time gating in this. Now, a lot of people have asked me because I've generally been against time gating in most games, but I'm against time gating in games where it's a paid mechanic. The reason I'm so against time gating is because what ends up happening, it's like, well, you have to wait an hour or you can pay 50 cents to accelerate it. Whereas in this case, there's no paid mechanic at all because this is Path of Exile, and the only form of monetization that has any pay to win to it is the stash tabs. So here I don't mind, especially because we know that Neon plays so much. I have him added as a friend, and I always end up seeing like he has like crazy amount of challenges early league, and I think this is so healthy for the game. And like he said on the announcement, he was like, yeah, I was getting really frustrated, I was screaming, so I was like, let's just make this better. I was like, oh my god, so refreshing, so nice. Neon is based. And yeah, you also seem to use gold for ships, which you can send them on short missions, on long missions, and it looked like some of the long missions brought back insane amounts of loot. So you kind of get to choose, kind of like scav junk box in or like sending your scavs out in Tarkov. Kind of cool. Honestly, it's just overwhelming how much stuff we got. For me, this is the best announcement. I think only PoE 2 tops this. But best PoE 1 announcement. This is better than when we got 10 acts, in my opinion. There's not really many downsides. It just all looks super cool. The only thing I don't like is banners, but we can talk about that during the patch notes. Crafting gets a new rune system, and it's basically reverse legendary potential from last epoch. Instead of being able to put rare items inside uniques, you're able to take certain stats, like one stat at a time, from a unique and put it in a rare item. And it is like a curated list, so you can't do anything. Gladiator got a huge rework. Bleed and weapon nodes both look great. Retaliation skills look really interesting for mapping. I don't know how they'll be for bossing. Raider, see ya. Warden is the new class, and it's like a master of elements. As bark skin, tinctures are back and are different. I don't like the look of tinctures, but you know, as with anything, we've really got to try it to see how it is. I am very worried about tanking on not the left side of the tree, because the main way we would tank before would be converting physical damage taken to elemental, but we can no longer do that, and that is going to be really rough. I think a lot of builds will feel forced to use a lightning coil to make armor more potent. And lightning coil is almost the only case of physical damage conversion we have. So yeah, but obviously having a lightning coil on will double your armor. We might see people doing iron reflexes, but having no evade at all is quite rough. So honestly, I'm a little bit concerned. I do feel a little bit, as a hardcore player, forced to start melee. The main form of defense we're going to have is endurance charge stacking. And that has been buffed because it is actually elemental damage reduction as well. So I do think our defenses are a little more limited this time, which I was a bit surprised at. But honestly, it's just so refreshing that there's so many changes now. Yeah, I think you're going to see a lot of people doing 90 max rest, 10 or 8 endurance charges. Things like on hardcore, +1 endurance charge corruption is going to be huge. And we do get better armor base types now, so we will get access to more armor than before. And also you'll feel less forced to rely on determination because that is nuked in half. Impale got buffed, Warcries got changed and mostly buffed. I'm not a huge fan of the way new Warcries work. Seismic looked really cool, the Seismic Cry. Huge AoE now. Banners, they're awful. The only usable banner is the War Banner. That does damage, because the other banners have conditional defense. Like, oh, you'll gain more block for 6 seconds or however long it is. Or, oh, you'll gain more suppression. But there's no point in the game, whether I was softcore or hardcore, that I want to sit as 50% suppression and go to 100 when I place my banner. You never really want conditional defense in this game. It's, yeah, like, it's one thing to have like a conditional molten shell or something, but yeah. I'm not a big fan of the other banners. That's one of the only things I don't like this league, but you know, so insanely much positive stuff, I don't really care. Rage has been changed for melee. Now, the huge loss of attack speed across the board is a little bit dangerous. Like, yeah, we have gained a lot of damage and a lot of cool stuff, but the attack speed loss could be really scary. But in general, it does look like a buff for most things. I do think Bone Zone, Karn was saying, was being nerfed, but we'll see how everything ends up in PoB. Bleed is reworked. We now have a aggravated stat, which lets you force monsters to move, which looks really great. For the endgame, Magic Find is gone, and if you've been watching my suggestion videos and things I want to see in Path of Exile, this is something I've put in several of them. I was saying, why don't you just remove Quant and just keep Rarity? So I'm so excited about this change. The reason this is a good thing and why people are celebrating it is you often feel forced to do Quant Magic Finding. It's so incredibly potent, and the gear isn't that interesting because it was always on uniques. So this is great. Most people are happy about this. Really, really good. And honestly, so many of these changes were things that I had in suggestion videos. I'm so excited. Like, not saying that they necessarily listened to the videos and did it because of that, but you know, it's things I wanted, so I'm really excited. They also did a 1000 life Combs Heart, which is funny because I was even talking the day before. I was like, I'm surprised they haven't made Combs 1k life yet. Because even if it was, it wouldn't be top 10 best chests. There are new scarabs, so that is very, very exciting. Gonna be cool to see how they work. A lot of the really OP egregious ones were nerfed, so good. Very excited for that. We do have a 6-map slot device now. This will give you more access to different forms of scarabs and more combos. Very, very cool. And you'll unlock the 5-map slot device earlier because now you can unlock it at Maven and tier 17s. You can scry maps to div card swap. So if you have like said, let's say you really want to run beach, but you want the div card from another map, you can actually do that through the seer. Not only does he offer unique items, but you can actually move div cards. So that's very cool. Affliction boss is back, but it does not drop that which was taken. It is now that which was taken from us. And Sentinels show up in maps. That is not where you get Recombinators. That is through the city mechanic. Kalandra does show up. They are mirrored, so I don't think they can be recombinated. But you can now either get a random ring and choose one, or you can put in your own and hope that it doesn't break and goes insane. The amulet from Heist, those are going to be insanely expensive this thing. There are new chisels that will, change, like, do you want more div cards? Do you want more currency, etc.? So there are new chisels, and they work differently now. They are 20 quality on white maps, 10 quality on yellow maps, and 5 quality on red maps. You don't have to roll them while they're white anymore. So that's really cool. Really like that. There's no reason to scour maps anymore. Well, I mean, you still want to scour out. Tier 17 maps can be rolled with Vols and Chisels. They can't remove implicits, and you can still roll them with Chaos. I'm really worried about tier 17 maps because I do feel like we are losing defense, and they only got a 30% damage reduction. However, they did say that a lot of the monsters that were insane have been rebalanced, so hopefully that's fine. 30% less damage and like 50% less life. You can now control click stacks of currency into your stash. We could do this into trades before, but we could not do it into our stash. So huge. Like, honestly, they really cooked with this one. I have never been so impressed. I don't know, I feel like there's been quite a lot of like interest where I've been like, but now I'm just all on the pug train. I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. Honestly, maybe it's like they were nagging me with graveyard crafting, and they were like, I really didn't like last league. So I was primed to be hyped and excited. This looks so fucking good. And I gotta say, watching the $40 expansion presentation from Blizzard right before this, where they spent the 30 minutes of the start just talking about lore and like really things I did not care about, was wild compared to just seeing this presentation where they're like, we did all this stuff, enjoy. Wild, absolutely insane what they can accomplish in such a short time. This is literally a game in your game, so you can game while you game. Either way, let me know what you think. What were you excited for? What were you not excited for? Thanks for watching. Sub if you liked the video, but more importantly, try to die less than I do.